What's up guys, it's your girl Kizzy and I'm back with another video. This is gonna be my second video for the day, which I really love. But anyways, today I want to talk about groupthink and how it's important to move away from groupthink and really think for yourself and decide for yourself what you want to believe, what you want to agree to, what you want to involve yourself in. If you're unfamiliar or you're not familiar, right, you don't know what groupthink is essentially groupthink is thinking in groups, right? So it's like cancel culture. Let's say one person cancels something or someone and then everybody else is just like, oh yeah, I'm canceling them too, without necessarily wanting to or without necessarily agreeing to it for themselves. They're just sort of going with the group, right? Going with the majority, right? This happens in families as well, where like maybe some people in the family feel or believe one thing and something, and then other people in the family just sort of agree with it and follow behind it because, well, they haven't taken the time to think for themselves or know that they can think for themselves, know that they can believe differently. And so, basically in groupthink, it doesn't allow you to think for yourself. It rather just allows you to, without thinking critically, without thinking for yourself, without really deciding if it resonates for you, it just really makes you fit in, right? It just really makes you get a sense of temporary belonging, right? It just fills a void of thought for you, where like you don't have to think for yourself because somebody else or the group, right? Somebody else in the group or somebody else already has a thought, therefore you just sort of go along with the group, right? And it really just lacks your own mind. It lacks your own value, maybe, moral compass. It depends on what the topic is. But again, the idea behind groupthink is just like agreeing with the group, going with the group, following behind a sort of narrative pushed by a group of people, rather than thinking for yourself, thinking outside the box, doing what you want to do. It sort of relates, like I said, to the idea of wanting to fit in and the idea of not wanting to stand out and the idea of just sort of finding coherence with something that you don't necessarily agree with or want to cohere with, but you're just sort of doing it because you're not really familiar with the fact that you can have different, you can have better, you can have more, you can have XYZ, whatever it is for you in the specific situation. And a lot of the times that we agree or participate in groupthink, we may not even know we're participating in groupthink. But if you feel like you're just sort of going with what other people are doing or saying, that's participating in groupthink, right? If you feel like you can't think differently than a group, than a section of people, than a majority, that is going along with groupthink. If you're afraid of going against the grain of what the group thinks or the group feels, that is groupthink, right? And a lot of times we do groupthink because of fear, right? Because of anxiety, because of worry. Oh, what if I go against it and it's this? What if I go against it and it's that? What happens if I go against it? What's on the other side? The unknown, which is also a very underlined thing in the society that we are afraid of, the unknown, as well as change, right? Because when you separate from the group, when you separate from groups, what usually happens, right? You're sort of ostracized, right? You're lonely, you're alienated. If you're not that, you're at least feeling that, right? You go through feeling like something's wrong with you, right? In comparison to the group, because it's like, how come the group can feel this? How come the group can do that, but I can't personally do that, right? It's sort of that feeling of loneliness, right? And again, something being wrong about you, something being bad about you, something being not right within you. But really, that's not what that is. It really is just you being you and standing up for what you believe in, which is okay. Independent, free thinking is okay. And I think personally, it should be encouraged. And for me, in my life, in my life's narrative, it is encouraged. Because the whole thing with groupthink is like, groupthink, it coddles to conformity. It works with conformity. It works with molding right? Yourself, your thoughts, your mind into aligning with something that may not even align for you, right? If you agree with the group, that's fine, right? That's cool. But if you don't, or you have an opposing opinion, it's okay to have that opposing opinion. And I think that's just the point that I'm making here. It is important to allow yourself to think for yourself, have your own thoughts, have your own ideas, have your own mind, critically think for yourself, right? If somebody says 2 + 2 is 4, yeah, we obviously know it is, but like if you don't believe that, do the math yourself, right? Think about it for yourself. Do you agree with that? Right? Let's just say a higher number, like 58 times 3. If somebody says it's 100, that's not right. But like, my point is just like, think about it for yourself, right? Do I think that everybody should have a right to have boundaries? Yes. Whereas some people in certain groups, like family, may be like, no, there's no boundaries, we're family, right? Even if they don't say it, they may act like it. And it's like, no, it's okay for you, right, me, to independently say, no, actually, I'm not conforming to that standard of thinking. Because for me, I can have boundaries in any state, right? For me, it doesn't matter who you are, where you place in my life, what label is attached to you. Boundaries are okay. And so when you step out of group think and you understand that it's okay for you to think for yourself and decide for yourself, it really allows you to create your own mind and also attach to your mind your own belief system, which I also feel like is very important to growth, to healing, and to evolution, because we are carrying, if you're not healing, right? If you're not looking, if you're not in the know, we are carrying long-standing beliefs from childhood that we don't even agree with, that we don't even align with, but we're just keeping them because we're so used to them, right? We're so used to following behind the group, right? The matrix, the culture of family, the culture of whatever culture you're part of, where we don't even stop to think, oh my God, like, do I agree with that? Do I feel like that? Do I because we're just like, no, I have to go with this because it's all I've known. No, I have to go with this because this is what everybody else is doing. This is what everybody else says. This is what I was told. This is how I've lived my whole life, right? Based off of group think. That is how we're molded when we grow up in this world, especially not even within, family and friendships, but also just society as a whole, right? When I mentioned cancel culture, there's a lot of instances where society makes you sort of feel like you have to go with the group. And if you have a different opinion, it's bad. If you have and like, of course, not everybody's going to agree with your opinion. Some people may feel like it is bad, right? Some people may judge you. They may shun you. They may do this. They may do that. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because how you feel is how you feel. And you have every right. You have every right to feel how you want to feel at the end of the day. And so when I say think for yourself, what I would like you to consider, and what I think it's important to consider, is like, what are you thinking about things? Like I've said in my questioning video, my hashtag questioning video, right? Question everything and consider for yourself what you are making things mean, what you are believing about yourself, about your life, right? So like, I know that we take on our money beliefs from our family. We take on beliefs about ourselves from our family because it's childhood. Childhood is where most things stem from. So if in childhood you sort of just listened and you had to follow, which we did, right? Because we were younger, we sort of just took on everything that was given without giving it a second thought, without being able to critically think, without being able to separate from it and create our own system, right? But now we are in spaces and places where we can create our own systems, where we can create our own narratives, where we can create our own thoughts and our own processes. And it's important to do this work and allow yourself to do this work, because it is not only healing for you, but it is also healing for the generations to come, right? And the people to come. And it's inspiring for other people to know, like, damn, this person is doing something out of the grain. This person is thinking out of the grain. This person's doing this. I can do it too. And you can, right? The only thing stopping you is, guess what? You. In groupthink, because in groupthink, it's not always about what's best for the group, or what's best in the group. I mean everyone, right? If it's best for the majority, it's still not everyone, right? And so sometimes if you're not thinking for yourself, if you're not allowing yourself to sort of separate from that, you fall in line with it, and then you end up unhappy, and then you end up feeling resentment, and then you end up feeling all these negative things, because it's like you settled, you agreed to something, you became accustomed to something that is actually not for you, was never for you. Right? And so freeing yourself from groupthink, recognizing what groupthink is in any scenario that you're in, is going to allow you to free yourself. It's part of the process. So like when I had my best friend breakup, it was my ex-best friend, her partner, and then our other friend / mutual. And they all agreed on something, but I personally did not agree. Now I could have just said, oh, okay, I'm just gonna go and agree with them so we can all be in coherence. We can all just stay together. There's no issues. I don't ruffle any feathers, right? But instead of doing that, I was like, no, actually, I'm going to leave because I believe this and you guys don't agree. That's fine, right? I'm not gonna negate you, right? Like they did to me. I'm not gonna manipulate you like they did to me. I'm not gonna gaslight you like they did to me. I'm going to personally make my own decisions and do what's best for me because I can. I critically thought about it, even though they were saying it's not that, it's not this, da, 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 da. It doesn't matter, right? And I think separating from groupthink also requires a strength. It requires a courage, because I'm not saying it's going to be easy to just separate from the group. But what I am saying is that it'll be beneficial to you in the long run, and you'll be glad that you did it, and you'll be glad that you didn't settle, and you'll be glad that you created your own fucking life. I think it's easier for sure to just settle, right? To just stay, right, in spaces and places where you don't actually agree, or you don't actually feel like it's for you, but it's more rewarding in the end, long term, and fulfilling for you to do what's best for you, to think for yourself, right? To consider your own feelings, even if it is different from the group. You know, when I left the group in my best friendship, you know, I did have to deal with the anger and the aggression and the disdain and the arguing and the, you know, negative energy. But it's not impossible to get through, right? It's not impossible to work through. It's not impossible to be on the other side of, because I'm on the other side of it right now, and I'm still thinking for myself, and I'm still standing in my truth. And it turns out, right after the fact, that, so I'm not going to get into the story right now, but I will. That will be coming soon. But I basically didn't agree with my mutual / friends and my ex-best friend's perspective when it came to my ex-best friend's partner, and they all agreed, right? And so when I left, I had to stand in my own truth, right? That I didn't agree with my perspective of the situation, of the person, of the behaviors, and I had to leave. Now I could have just stayed, right? And it would have been easier. There would have been no beef, right? There would have been no problems. There would have been no manipulation. There would have been no issue. But for me personally, I had to have the strength and the courage and honestly, the willpower to take the leap of faith away from the group, stand up for myself, stand up for what I care about. And that's another thing of groupthink. It's about standing up for what you care about. And what I've learned is when you stand for nothing, you fall for everything. So what exactly are you going to stand for, right? What aligns with you? What is for you? And so it would have been easier for me to not say anything, right? I wouldn't have had to take a leap of faith. I wouldn't have had to have hope. I wouldn't have had to be courageous. I wouldn't have had to grow, right? But in the long term, I would have been upset there. And it ended, like I said, I was saying, I don't know if I finished, but like I was right. I ended up being right about the person and the situation in the end, right? And so all the gaslighting and manipulation, it didn't matter in the end, because I knew what I was talking about. And standing by my gut and my own feelings rewarded me, right? With a new life, with growth, with healing, with new opportunity. Yes, it hurt. Yes, it was scary. I ain't gonna lie, right? But again, I feel like life is about the evolution. It's about the growth, right? So when you're living your life and you're in these groups and you know, feel like da 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 da, consider if and just on a daily, right, at any time when you're spending your alone time, consider if you are following or you are leading, right? Consider if you are following or you are thinking critically for yourself. Consider if you have your own mind or if you are allowing others to create your mind, right? Because a free mind frees you. A captive mind just keeps you captive. Captive keeps you going in circles, right? And you can go in circles, right? You learn either way. But thinking about this, groupthink and independent thinking, free thinking, and the fact that you now, if you didn't know before, now watching this video, know that you have the ability to free think is an opportunity right there, right? So what are you going to do about it? Am I challenging you? Maybe, right? But this is important shit. So I love you. And that was just a quick little video on groupthink. And I want you to think about that and really consider it in your free time. I love you, and I will see you on my next video. Peace.